Hello, welcome to WEMS News 9th Period Corsello Edition. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Julia.
Today we will be telling you about some topics that really blew our minds. Not only does it affect us as U.S. citizens, but it changes things in the world.
Today, listeners will hear stories ranging from disastrous floods in the Midwest to the horrors and injustice of police brutality.
All of the information you will hear today is interesting, so sit back, relax, and learn something.
First, we will bring you a story about how Mexican drug cartels have been affected by the increased legalization of pot in the U.S. in states in the U.S.
News Team Purple is here to explain why. Take it away.
Is the legalization of marijuana in the United States affecting the drug cartel's financial status?
Worth billions of dollars, the Mexican drug cartels are already making billions of dollars due to the legalization of marijuana in the U.S. There are less people that have to buy marijuana when it is legal to buy in the states for recreational or medical use. This causes the cartels to rely on harder, more dangerous drugs in which they use to sell more of in order to keep their profits. This will increase greatly the number of deaths from higher risk drugs and can cause major problems with the U.S.
Today we are with 8th grade social studies and Show Me the Money teacher, Mr. Florence. Today we will talk about the effects on Mexican cartel income due to the legalization of marijuana in the United States.
Do you think the legalization of marijuana in the U.S. is affecting the cartels?
It definitely has to have taken a hit. I believe that the cartels are probably losing money as a result of the homegrown marijuana here in the United States.
Do you think any of these money losses could extinguish the cartels?
I don't know if they would extinguish them. I think it's definitely going to hurt them in the short term. Long term, I think the cartels are going to find some other way to make up for the loss of revenue from the legalization of marijuana.
Do you think there is a correlation between the legalization of marijuana in the U.S. and violence in the U.S.?
I'm not quite sure if all of those studies have been completed yet, so I'm not quite sure if that's the case or not.
With knowing this negatively affects the cartels financially, are you for or against the legalization of marijuana in the U.S.?
I think you have to look at the question of legalization of marijuana beyond just the financial effects on the drug cartels. I think you also have to look at the positive and negative health benefits of legalizing marijuana. Also, you have to look more closely at the violence and the crime statistics as a result of marijuana, and also the number of incarcerations as a result of the new legalization laws in these new states. So I think the jury is still out, at least for me individually, on whether or not marijuana should be legalized countrywide.
Thank you, Mr. Florence, for letting us interview you and helping us with your valuable time.
You're welcome.
Every year, thousands of people die due to meth, cocaine, and heroin. Marijuana makes up a good amount of what the cartel sells, and it isn't lethal. By them losing more weed money, they must rely on harder, dangerous drugs in which more people die every year. Death numbers in 2005 were about 16,000 in that year, and increased by 33,000 in 2015.
Very interesting and informative. I would have never thought that our own laws can create problems against us.
Sounds good, but maybe the reason marijuana was illegal in the first place was because it was bad for your health.
You know what is else bad for you? People cutting down all the trees across the globe.
Yeah, I sure hope that one day we don't lose all the trees and the oxygen that keeps us alive.
Me too. That would definitely be bad. Let's let News Team Green talk about that some more.
Deforestation started in Brazil in the 1960s and has been going on ever since. So how does this process that began 50 years ago affect the world today?
Let's join Elena and Shannon and learn more about this worldwide problem.
Today we are joining you from the Amazon rainforest in Brazil, where the majority of deforestation is happening in. This rainforest has lost about 17% of its trees in the last 50 years.
Deforestation is when people cut down the trees in major forests for the products that lumber or oil produce, as well as the land for farming. When forests are cut down, the biodiversity that lives there is being killed. Deforestation is among the world's biggest issues.
This may seem like an insolvable issue, but there are many things that you can do to help. You can recycle, buy recycled products, eat vegetarian meals often, look for Forest Stewardship Council or FCS certification on wood and wood products.
Several iconic companies such as Dairy Queen, Domino's, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Subway, and McDonald's are contributing to deforestation. What do they all have in common? Palm oil is used in thousands of products that are consumed by Americans daily, like deodorant, ice cream, and face cream. The production of palm oil relies on clearing forests.
About 80% of the world's population of plants and animals live in forests, and without the forests, many plants and animals will die. The animals that rely on the trees as protection from the sun rays include orangutans, Sumatran elephants, Bornean pygmy elephants, Sumatran rhinos, and Sumatran tigers, along with many other species of animals.
It may seem as deforestation has only negative aspects. However, there are some good things that come out of it. For example, we need to cut down trees so we can have paper. Also, we need the farmland that is created from deforestation so we can produce crops for food.
Deforestation is taking a huge toll on our ecosystem. The loss of biodiversity in rainforests would cost each person on Earth about $650 each year, which is about $5 trillion a year for the entire world.
Even though it is going to take a lot of money to fix deforestation, there is a company called the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change that may have a less expensive solution. The UNFCCC has developed something called REDD Plus that offers countries rewards for reducing their deforestation rates. Now here's Elena with Miss Pottinger discussing deforestation.
Do you think that Emerson could do anything to help deforestation?
I definitely think Emerson could be a little more aware of the paper that they're using, especially, if I walk past the green bins and the blue bins, and a lot of times people aren't even aware what they're throwing in the green bins and the blue bins, and so we're not recycling all that we could, and I think that would help a lot if people were just more aware of what they were using.
As you can see, deforestation is causing problems all over the world. You can help bring this to an end by recycling, using recycled products, and using paper as little as possible. If we are not careful, our forests could be destroyed sooner than we think.
Well,
That's crazy how so many trees are being cut down. It's a disaster.
Yeah, I can't believe how a majority of companies are the cause of this global mess.
Fun fact, more trees equals less flooding. The tree roots soak up and drink the fallen rainwater. This means that flooding is less of a threat in deeply forested areas.
Maybe that's why there's so much flooding near cities or in the Midwest. I'm pretty sure trees can't grow in cement.
It seems like the Orange team has done some research on this. Let's hand the spotlight over to them.
floods are raging across the Midwest. Over a dozen people have already been swept away by the strong flood currents. Over 500 evacuations have been issued in the Midwest, and these floods are climbing north. Today, we are here to investigate how floods affect cities and towns in the United States. Densely populated urban areas have a good chance of becoming victim to flash floods because of the amount of buildings, highways, etc. Increased runoff and reduces the amount of water absorbed by the ground. Your average flood starts from heavy rains causing a river to overflow. Fast melting snow or tides that are higher than average and come over shore. Floods are the most common weather-related natural disaster and happen in all 50 states. Most of the floods in the Midwest are flash floods caused by overflowing levees. Flash floods are the most dangerous kinds of floods. They cause raging torrents that are so strong they can destroy everything in their path, like fields and crops.
Flooding causes more damage than any other natural disaster in the U.S., with an average of $5 to $6 billion in a year. This comes from bridges, buildings, houses, and cars, which can easily be swept by fast-moving floodwater. Floods can cause hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of inventory, equipment, furniture, etc. to be lost by businesses. The time it takes to rebuild can take years if the flood is severe. There are some positive effects of flooding. Fertile floodplains like the Mississippi Valley are great for agriculture because of frequent flooding and has left millions of tons of nutrient-rich silt. In case of a flood warning, citizens should make sure their home or business property is secure and then go to higher ground or evacuate the area.
Today we are here to investigate how floods affect cities and towns in the United States.
Heavy rainfall has caused large flooding in many regions of the Midwest lately. Parts of southern Mississippi, northern Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma, and southern Illinois. The waters have flooded homes, businesses, highways, and a major interstate. I'm here at the Levee Breach in Pocahontas, Arkansas. An emergency evacuation was put into place the day before the breach. Then the flash flood happened and water gushed into the city from overflowing levees. So far, 108 National Guards have been sent to help out the flooding in the Midwest. There has also been more than 500 evacuations, and there are currently 25 guard vehicles on standby, just in case the levee overflows even more. Flooding has also been happening all around the Midwest. The Merrimack, Mississippi, and the Missouri rivers have been overflowing due to heavy rain, as have many levees. This major flooding has caused dozens of deaths, impacted hundreds of highways, and submerged homes and transportation.
Aside from the visible impacts of floods, people can also be impacted by them personally. We interviewed Mrs. Dobrino for information about the mental and emotional effects of natural disasters like floods.
No problem. Do you think the after effects of floods, like rebuilding communities, can strengthen community relationships and have positive mental effects?
I think that yes.
Yes.
Rebuilding a community can bring everyone closer together.
Overall, floods can be very dangerous to us, like us animals and the environment. The Midwest has been heavily impacted by these natural disasters.
Hey, we live in the Midwest.
Really? Well then, I guess we're at risk.
Climate change is really unfair towards us. Flooding is becoming a major problem.
You know what else is unfair? Police brutality. It's shockingly scary.
Agreed. But I don't really know much about that topic.
Let's go to the red team to learn more about how police brutality affects our society.
Gun on you, do not reach for it in your pocket.
What? What are you doing, dude? What are you doing?
Let me see your hand! Let me see your hand!
Police brutality is one of the most talked about situations in America, but finding a solution seems like an impossible task. Police brutality is painted all over the news and is starting to cause ruckus between police and the citizens they try to protect. So, how does police brutality affect our society? Well, first off, what is police brutality? Police brutality is the use of excessive and or unnecessary force by the police when dealing with civilians. We found that about 66% of all people affected by police brutality is black. This means that 2 out of every 3 people affected is black. Applicants for the job have gone down by 90% in the recent years because of all this hate against police officers caused by their actions of police brutality. We interviewed our 8th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Florence, to see his views and insights on this problem.
So, what would you consider to be police brutality? Like, how far do you think it can go before it's considered wrong?
Police brutality to me would be anything after the police are able to successfully apprehend or subdue a suspect. So once they're able to control a suspect, whatever force they need to use to do that is okay, but once that suspect has been subdued or apprehended, then anything after that that would be excessive would be considered police brutality.
Okay. So do you think police brutality is as big of a problem as it's shown in the media, or do you think it's blown up?
Well, I definitely think we see more of it because the 24-hour news cycle and social media has definitely highlighted the problem. Whether or not it's worse or there's more than before, I'm not quite so sure that's so much the case. I just think we're seeing more of it now because of the different types of media that's available now than 30 or 40 years ago.
We next surveyed the 8th grade at Emerson Middle School on their thoughts and opinions.
We asked them if they agree with police brutality. About 87.9% of people said no. Only about 3 people said anything else. Out of the people surveyed, very few people believed that police brutality had an effect on their lives. People were very split between whether or not they thought police brutality was a big problem. 1/3 of people said yes, 1/3 of people said no, and 1/3 of people did not know.
Police brutality affects people in so many different ways. This has caused less police officers to join the team and more hate against them. No one can determine if the force is necessary, but we have determined that it is more unnecessary than necessary.
It is terrible how police are using force against so many people who maybe didn't even do anything wrong.
Yeah, police are meant to keep us safe, and that should be the main part of their work.
Police brutality, along with all of the topics in today's broadcast, were really interesting.
I'm glad that I was here to learn all of that stuff. I am more informed now about current events.
Me too, and I hope you are too.
Thank you for joining us today.